Let's get right to it. Cons and pros. There are cons, then there are pros.
He ain't lying.
And life in every situation. So, Leighton Vander Esch, there's an article out there saying that, hey, this is just speculation for the nation. I haven't heard any news on the Cowboys' end of Leighton Vander Esch being traded or he's going to get traded or anything like that. But let's talk about this, though, because it's the same story with even Jalen Smith, right? We get new guys to come into the mix, and everybody's saying, okay, let's just get rid of the old and bring in the new. Like these new guys going to know everything about the NFL. Now, they got a lot of raw passion, and they got a lot of expectations. And I'm talking about Jabril Cox as well as Micah Parsons, which I believe those guys will have a wonderful career by the Dallas Cowboys way, right? By the way. All right, so let's look into the cons and pros of this LVE. Leighton Vander Esch. You know, he was the darling child when he was here. His first year had an amazing year. I believe he had north of 130 tackles, somewhere around 140, give or take. And I believe he had a plethora of interceptions and things like that. And he was just marvelous for the Dallas Cowboys. Did wonderful things. Was spoken highly of from all of his people that did scout evaluations and those who was on the limb and these sorts of things about him. He did a wonderful job. And then the second year he got injured, and then he got labeled. And it's hard to shake those labels. You know, once you get that labeling, it's hard to remove them. And the con part of Leighton Vander Esch's career, or the con part of trading a player like a Leighton Vander Esch, will be this right here. He have yet to live up to his scouting report as relates to overcoming his weaknesses. Because a lot of times when you look at the scouting report, you say, okay, what are his flaws? Well, his flaws are getting off his blocks, using his hands, and limited amount of experience. Those are his major flaws in his scouting report. And I tell people all the time that it normally takes 3 years to fully evaluate a player. It takes 3 years. So the pros part of it will be the Cowboys finally willing and dealing, right? They're going out getting resources from a guy or for a guy that they're going to get rid of. If I'm talking about pros and trading, the con would be you getting rid of a guy before he's fully developed. The pro would be you finally getting something in return. Now, the problem is with that, the Dallas Cowboys, they don't do willing and dealing anyway. They like to hold on to a player until his contract expires. Then they like to say, okay, well, we allow you to hit the market, what have you, and hopefully in return we get some compensatory picks. They play for comps, right? Basically, this is how they play the game. And there's nothing wrong with that theory, nothing wrong with it. I believe that the Cowboys should, that's the operative word, will and deal a little bit more. But when we look at Leighton Vander Esch, he had multiple defensive coordinators, different linebackers coach, and it was just crazy year last season. Flat out. And I'm not trying to put all of the blame on Mike Nolan, right? Some of the players had these issues with the system and philosophy and what he was trying to implement. But damn it, Mike Nolan is a part of the problem last season, because everywhere he been, they were ranked on the bottom half of the defense. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. All it takes is for you to Google it, and you can do your own research on that. Wherever he been the defensive coordinator, his team ranked on the bottom half. And old folks say this all the time, not everybody's lying, right? So we know it was a solid by Mike McCarthy to hire Mike Nolan. And the philosophy just didn't stick to some of the players. Now we got Dan Quinn, who I believe who is more hands-on. This thing falls on the line of more of the pros for Leighton Vander Esch. Give him time. Give him some time to pick up the system with Dan Quinn, or give Dan Quinn an opportunity. You know, can somebody be knocking at the door for opportunity? They're just knocking. And if you don't want to be bothered with it, You just say, I'm not going to stop what I'm doing. I'm going to stay in my house. Well, that knocking is going to get louder and louder and louder and louder. And what will happen eventually is you're going to go down there to the door and say, what do you want? You open the door and you're mad, you're angry, you're upset. What do you want? And this is what the young rookies should say. We want the chances. We want the opportunity. And I believe that Jabril Cox and Micah Parsons, they should be knocking at that door saying they want the opportunity, right, to battle for that position. And that's what we want. We want dogs to do that. And Francis Bernard as well. He should be knocking at the door. So Leighton Vander Esch should be saying, okay, y'all may knock, but this food in his house belongs to me. And he should look at this saying, I challenge or I relish the opportunity to fight for my position. Nothing should be given to me. And he should pick up whatever Dan Quinn is throwing out there. Straight up, Cowboy Nation. That should be the philosophy. Now, we can go back and forth talking about, well, Law, he ain't it, dog. He's made of glass. And I know those labels, it gets stuck on you, injury prone and these sorts. He came in injured, right? I even seen where people said, well, last year, regardless of the situation, Mike Nolan, he wasn't out there missing tackles. He wasn't out there trying to shoot through the A or the B gap. It was these linebackers that was refusing. Well, I come here to tell you that in order to properly evaluate a linebacker, you got to have some big boys up front. Look at his scouting report. It's clear as mud. Old folks say that, right? He had problems disengaging, troubles with his hands, and experience. Leighton Vander Esch have not been here for 10 years, and I'm not saying that it takes a 10-year-old senior type of linebacker to make plays. No. But what I'm saying is that to properly give the evaluation, you got to do what's right within context of what I'm saying, Cowboy Nation. So when we think about all of this, all I'm saying is weigh the options out. Allow this guy with Dan Quinn. And I know we can look at other teams that may say, hey, the Steelers can use him. He'll fit well within the confines of the system that the Steelers are operating in. Or even if he go to the Colts or somebody like that, or even the Kansas City Chiefs, they would know how to utilize him better. And I'm quite sure they would know how to utilize him better based off of the past, right, of the Dallas Cowboys, the previous regime. But let's give it time with this one. This is a whole new flavor of Cowboy Nation. You got a better front coach who's hands-on. Mike McCarthy is now saying to everybody, saying, okay, allow Dan Quinn to coach these guys up. So Dan Quinn now is able to identify, okay, I'm telling you guys to do this. I'm telling you guys to do that. So that's how this thing can rock and roll, Cowboy Nation. Post me your thoughts, post me your concerns down below. Let me know how you guys feel about all of these trade rumors. You know, it will be a plethora of trade scenarios because it's the off season, and the off season is always long. It is. All right, Cowboy Nation, that's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Let's go.